What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am reviewing the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 16. It's called Chicken and Waffles. Let's go ahead and jump in. If you are rocking with my content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share with a fellow Bravo lover, and that just helps to support the channel. So thank you in advance, and let's get to it. Okay, so the episode opens with Shamia. She's with her girls in the doctor's office. As usual, she's doing the most. She's singing all loud in the waiting room. Thankfully, no one was there. I just feel like she always needs to, do something, always needs to be on. And it's like, girl, it's okay to just be. But whatever. She's with her kids, singing, having fun, I guess. I don't know. So she takes her daughter, Shiloh, to an appointment. They think that she has strep throat. Shamia came back from Grenada with strep throat, and they just want to make sure the baby's okay. We know that the baby recently had that health scare. So she dials her husband, Gerald, in. And, I have a question. Why is he always on the phone? I mean, you're technically filming because you're FaceTiming, and you can't be that busy that you can't come to your child's doctor's appointment, that you can't come to your wife's IVF appointment. That's a little strange to me. I mean, people want to talk about Angela's husband and how he acts, in the scene and on the show. At least he shows up. At least he's in person. Let's give him that, because Gerald was in a half a scene in episode 1, and everything else he's dialing in. I don't know. It's strange. So basically, Shamia had recently had an embryo transfer with her surrogate that we saw in a prior episode, but unfortunately it failed. So the surrogate did not get pregnant, and Shamia and her husband are just going to try to take a beat and figure out what are their next steps, because he's such a good man. She wants to give him a boy. I don't know. They already have so much on their plate. He already doesn't show up to your job, so it's do you want to add more to it? But good luck to them with whatever they decide. So then we check in with Phaedra, and we see her boys. Oh my God, they are so cute. She said she's been co-parenting well with Apollo. Boys are thriving. Dylan wants to be a fashion designer. He basically took a situation where he couldn't find something that he liked, and Phaedra encouraged him to make it himself and got him a sewing machine. And I found that really interesting, because Phaedra seems so, Miss Southern Belle, and so traditional in some ways. We all know she has her freako side, but in a lot of ways she kind of has a traditional side to her. And I didn't think I would picture her buying her son a sewing machine. So that's awesome that she nurtured that interest and that curiosity and that talent. He's up here really making clothes. And so I love it. She said Aiden, her oldest, is just a politician. He loves to make money. He loves to make moves. And so I just loved seeing them. They are so cute. They're so they're little men, and they just seem really, really good kids. And so they are literally the best part of Phaedra. It was kind of giving how we like Giselle more from Potomac when she's with her kids. I liked Phaedra in that moment, seeing her with her sons. And so Phaedra kind of introduces that she's going to have an event coming up to showcase some of Dylan's work. And I think that's great. So then we have a check-in with Kelly. She goes to her divorce hearing. She's in the courtroom for 4 hours. And then when she gets home, she's talking with her publicist, and basically she's not fine. Her divorce is not final. She said they ran out of time. I don't know what that means. I don't know if her husband's lawyers were stalling. I don't know what we ran out of time means, but pretty much they have to pick up the proceedings later. So that has to be annoying, because I know you just want to be done. You just want to be free. And then it's God damn, we got to come back. Ugh, I feel so bad for her. So Shamia comes over, and Kelly says that her ex is now, she's not divorced. Her ex is now in jail for not paying child support. He's a freaking bum, dude. You don't spend time with your kids. You don't even financially support them. You're pathetic. Stop bringing kids in the world if you're not going to support them and raise them. Ugh. So Angela calls and checks in on Kelly, and Kelly gives her a quick update. And then Kelly says to Shamia, I believe, that she hasn't talked to Britt since the trip. So Kelly's pretty much disappointed that Britt hasn't checked in on her during, this time of her getting divorced. And we see all the footage of Kelly kind of just being Britt's ride or die throughout the season. And it's like now that the shoe's on the other foot, you couldn't show up for her. You couldn't text her. You couldn't call her. You couldn't come by with some damn soup or something. Like, that's the worst kind of friend. I can't stand people that are just one-sided and want to take. I had to like semi-cut somebody off for that, because I had a friend who was, I had a friend who was, getting married and doing all the things, and I'm attending all the things, I'm doing all the things. I'm listening to her vent about her early years into marriage, and I'm there for her. And then when it was my turn to get married and do all the things that comes with it, all of a sudden it's all these excuses, and I can't come to this, and I'm going to be late to that, and I have to skip this, and I can't. And it's like, dude, really? And I can't stand, I know everyone has lives. I know everyone is busy. I know in this episode, Britt and Kelly are not in a great place, but when it is a pivotal life, moment or circumstance, it's like sometimes you got to just put yourself aside and be there for someone. And it's like, if I can do that for you, why can't you do that for me? So Britt once again clicked down. We're going to talk more about it because most of this episode was about their dynamic and their issues. So we'll talk more. So Kelly killed it this season, because I swear every other episode she had an event. She picked up Portia slack and more. Yeah, Portia. She picked up Portia slack and more. She killed it as a newbie, just jumping in and hosting things like a veteran. So Kelly is hosting an event at Williams Sonoma. She said, we've been partners for years. She does like a lot of like pop-up cooking events. And I'm just like, yes, Kelly. Love to see it. So the ladies come in. Angela brings Charles, and Charles is greeting the ladies, and Phaedra like hugs him, and she tries to like act like she's old friends, and Charles barely gave her nothing. I said, that's all I need to see, because the way Phaedra acts, she makes it act like they were hanging out tough, and she knows all the ins and outs of Charles Oakley, and I didn't know he was married to Angela, and girl, he barely said hi to you. It wasn't like, dang, I haven't seen you in so long, how are the kids, like, what's going on, how's your mom? It wasn't like somebody who you really spent a significant amount of time with. It was very much, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, what's good? And he kept it moving. So Phaedra, so anyway, so Charles is there because Kelly and Charles are doing a cooking contest, and we've seen Charles cooking throughout the season. And so, at some prior event, the idea came up for them to go head to head in the kitchen. So I thought that was a cute idea. At the event, Kelly tells Drew, Angela, and Phaedra that she hasn't talked to Britt. And then we switch over to Britt's house. And so Cynthia and Portia come over to Britt's house. And I understand that Britt is renovating. And so she had like a section of her house kind of like partitioned off. But then there was a room right by the door. And it's like, girl, people, camera, you're on a show, right? So the room right by her door may have had a lot of the stuff that was in these partitioned rooms. I don't know. Like, I can understand, things are going to be hectic when you're renovating, but you're also filming a show. And so, like, store that stuff a little bit neater, because the room, as she was passing by to open up the front door, was horrendous. And I would never want that on TV. But anyway, and and you can see Portia was a little rattled. Like, she was kind of like, and she didn't give it too much, but that did startle her, and she was kind of like, oh, okay. And you can just kind of see the wheels turning of kind of like, dang. Portia said in a confessional, like, yeah, I know the conversation that she's referencing. I was talking about my therapist, and that really hurts. I critique Portia a lot, but Shamia doing that is so low down. How is that your best friend and you're showing personal text messages between you two? Shamia's low down. That little smile and the little happy act that you do in Shut O'Clock is all cover up for something way more sinister. I mean, after all, she's been friends with Portia all this time, so we know she ain't no angel. She ain't no damn angel. And the voice of Nene. So we're back at Kelly's event, and Kelly and Charles made waffles with banana foster toppings. The ladies said that they both did great, and it was a tie. So then a random man came over to Angela, and he's like, oh, can I talk to you off camera? I need to tell you something about your husband. And it seemed like he was mic'd up. Somebody comment down below if he wasn't, but the way that he was talking, he seemed like he was mic'd up. So like, was production in on this? So anyway, it's like, oh, I have something to say about your husband. I was like, so his name was Marcus, and Angela didn't really give it too much. She was kind of like, okay, no, like, get away. Like, pretty much like, who are you? Get away from me with this, right? So desperate and so rude. So anyway, my thing is, like, if I was Angela, I would have been like, well, my husband's right there. So if you have something, you can talk to him. If you have something you need to say, go say it to his face. Let me see you try. That's what I would have said. Because don't come to me. Then he proceeds, as he's walking away, he proceeds to tell Drew and Phaedra, who were sitting there, yeah, I have something to say about her husband, and she may not know it, and I need to tell her. And so Phaedra and Drew were kind of like, okay, what? Like, what? So then a group of people are doing a shot, and they're just like just doing a cheers, and the same person does a cheers like, oh, and if your name is Angela, your husband's cheating on you, cheers. What? Okay. So eventually Kelly security escorts him out. Kelly says she doesn't know the guy. She doesn't tolerate any disrespect. And I don't know. My thing is like, your husband's cheating on you is so lame, late, and tired. Okay, and? Okay, I'll address it with him, and I'll leave him. Happy? Like, what is so, it's no longer salacious to like hear that. Like, that's no longer tea. Unless it's on some like Scandival level-ish. Okay, and trifling men cheat. What's the, especially athletes who have, unfortunately this stereotype, I'm sure not all of them are like that, but it's a stereotype of like, yeah, a lot of these athletes, they get everything they want. They get whatever woman they want. They have different women in different cities. And could he be cheating on her? Maybe, but like, who cares? She either knows it and she's fine with it, or she'll address it and deal with it accordingly. But like, oh, I gotta tell you something, your husband's cheating. Okay. I don't know. And maybe it's just me being desensitized to like all the reality TV that I watch. But in 2025, that is no longer, ooh, it's okay. I'll handle that. Anything else? What else you got? Good for you. You broke up a home. Good job. So I'm just glad Angela didn't give him too much. She wasn't rattled by it. She didn't jump up. She didn't curse him out. She didn't feed into it and scurry off and take her mic off to talk to him. Like, I really, like, 10 out of 10, Angela, how you handled that. Because he was looking for a moment. He was just so desperate and pathetic, and I never want to see him again on my screen. Such a loser. So, when Phaedra's leaving the event, she's going to her car. She calls Portia. Portia's still at Britt's house with Cynthia, and she just delivers the bone of like, yeah, there was a man there, said Charles was cheating. So, the girl's like, oh my God. So, fine. So, on to Phaedra's Black Love event. So this is the event it's like a fashion showcase, artsy showcase, and it's also where her son is gonna, show off his talent. And Portia can't attend. She gives her a call because Portia's cousin Londi had passed away unexpectedly. That's really sad. So she can't make the event. The ladies arrive to the event looking good for the most part. I will say as much as I can't stand Brit, like that hair, that makeup, um, like chef's kiss. I will give her credit where credit's due. She looked great. And her bare face when Cynthia and Portia came over, she looked really pretty there too. I don't know what the hair was doing. I shouldn't be talking because I need to get my hair done. But anyway, I don't know what the hair was doing in that scene, Brit, but that bare, like, fresh face looked really good then. And then her makeup and her short bob looked really good in this scene as well. Okay, so ladies arrive. Brit arrives. She speaks to Kelly. And it's kind of like a slightly antagonistic. It's like, hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. But Kelly was kind of like turning her head and stuff. So I think they were both just having stank energy towards each other. And she's like, hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. And Kelly just ignores her. She says in a confessional, she is just upset that her friend couldn't support her just because they had a dumb argument about glam. So then we see a confessional from Brit, and she says that Kelly should have confided in her instead of going around telling everybody about this issue. Kelly should have came to me in the beginning, but now she's just acting like a hater. And I was like, they both have points. Is this the third episode that I'm seeing Brit 80's point? Lord have mercy. We gotta wrap this season up. But they both have points. Kelly should have been more direct. This is why some things just don't mix. And, apparently glam squads and friendships don't mix. So note it for when I am balling enough to have a glam squad. So Kelly brings up her event, and she was pretty much like kind of just putting it out there like, hey, I didn't know that guy. I don't know why he was there. It was open to the public, blah, 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 blah. Just kind of just making Angela know, like, hey, I didn't put him up to it. Like, I did not co-sign that at all. And Angela was like, yeah, like, we looked into it. I got a lot of people that ride for me that care about Charles and myself. And, we found out that he was paid to be there. So allegedly, Angela said on Watch What Happens Live that we will find out the next episode, the season finale, who paid him to be there. So messy. So lazy, late, and tired. Like I said, the he's cheating trope is old. And then, like, you got to pay someone to deliver that weak-ass bone. That's like loser behavior. Drew came in 15 minutes late, but she wasn't let in right away. They were, just doing different things at the event, and she was being held outside by security. My thing is like, Drew was late for every single episode, every single event this year. That is not a good look. I'm not like super mispunctual, but like, you couldn't be on time one time this season. You couldn't be early one time this season. Every season, you're the last one strolling in, and it's like, maybe that's why they gave her last chair. I don't agree with the last chair, but like the way that you're kind of almost treating your job and coming constantly late to scenes, maybe you should have got last chair. I don't know, but it's like ridiculous, especially for this event, because Phaedra says, I was very specific about the time that the doors will be shut at this time. And in this case, Drew said she was in traffic, but that excuse doesn't really go a long way when you were late for literally everything else. Like, at this point, season 16 or episode 16, I don't want to hear it because you were late for every single little thing. If this was like the second or third time and you were stuck in traffic, fine. But that's just like a personality trait at this point for you. And so it's kind of like, okay, girl, sit outside. So, back inside of the event, Brit was, when they were talking about that someone was paid Marcus to talk to Angela at Kelly's event, Kelly was just saying some slick stuff like, oh, maybe someone who wasn't at the event paid him to be there, and just kind of just insinuating that she was like talking about Brit. She said something else. And then Cynthia was like, oh, well, I was at Britt's house at the same time as the event. And Kelly was like, oh, she let you in her house? Wow, wow. And so Britt overheard, and Britt was like, if you can actually address me, like, you don't have to be passive aggressive. And Kelly was like, no, I'm not passive. I'm aggressive. And then, Britt like steps up to her, just trying to intimidate her. Cause like Kelly's like this big. And so she steps in her face, kind of like, oh, really? Like, I've never seen you aggressive. And they just start going back and forth. Like, Britt calls Kelly insecure, and Kelly's like, insecure? You used my whole glam squad. Like an insecure person wouldn't offer up their glam squad. They would gatekeep, right? And so Britt says that Kelly felt insecure in Nashville, that she was like second best. And, Britt always needs, or not Britt, and Kelly always needs a sidekick. And I was like, interesting. Because they did have that little duo moment in Nashville. And then on the Grenada trip, she had a little twin moment with Shamia. So I was like, does she always need a little sidekick? Kelly said, you're trying to take my whole team. She makes reference that Britt is a pill popper. And then Britt was in the confessional making another gun reference, like, oh, I'm going to empty the clip or something like that. And then as they're yelling back and forth in the scene, Britt yells to Kelly, like, oh, what about those abortions when you were married? And then she calls Kelly a hobbit. It was a lot. I don't respect people that it's just like over some glam. Like, what is the issue? There has to be more of an issue. It has to be more of an issue. You can't tell me you're best friends and sisters, you have a falling out or an argument over sharing glam squads, and then now you're just cutting each other down to the white meat, insinuating drug use, insinuating abortions, like either that she was knocked up by someone outside of her marriage, or like just bringing up medical history in general. Like, it's too much. I don't know. Below what you think about the fight. Like, did they go too low? I don't know. There are just some things that you can't come back from. So it's like, unless this is a friendship ender and you gotta empty the clip, as Britt said, fine, I guess. I don't know. I am more avoidant, and I'm more like, I'm just gonna pay you dust and move on, rather than like engage and say something that like I can't take back. Yeah, I know not everyone's like that. Everyone has their own like confrontation style, but it's just like, just why? Over glam? Like, no one slept with no one's man. No one hurt anybody's kids. No one took any money from each other. I didn't take any opportunities from you. Like, over a glam squad? There's either more to the story, or y'all just weren't friends, or maybe a combination of both, but it's a mess. So then the fashion presentation starts, and someone tells Phaedra that Drew is outside, and she said, oh, well. And I'm like, girl, you could have let her in. You could have let her in right then and there, because I hadn't officially started yet. It would have taken 3 minutes to walk to the door, let her come in. Yeah, girl, here's your seat. Sit down. Shut up. Okay, hit the music. Probably less than that, But right before things start, everything's quiet. The crowd's quiet. And you can hear Drew tapping on the door or the window. You can just hear her tapping. It was giving Mary from Salt Lake City when Mary went to Meredith's bat mitzvah. And like, she's like peering in the window. Like, that's what it was giving. It was so funny. So then after the presentation, we see Derek Blanks. Like, shout out to him from season 2 of Atlanta, when he did the fashion shoot for the ladies. The alter ego fashion shoot. You see Phaedra's sons and like wearing the pants that Dylan made. Like, why was I crying? They are so freaking cute. Like, they're like little moguls. Like, Dylan really like made these things with his hand. Aiden takes the mic. He's like, how's everybody doing tonight? Like, these are on sale for XYZ. Like, we're selling them for this much money. You can tell Phaedra was so proud, and it was just like, So then Britt and Shamia sit down, and Shamia asks, like, why couldn't you text Kelly about the divorce? And Britt's like, I just can't be fake. Like, she's going around telling our business, and I can't text her about that. And I'm like, again, if you had an ounce of maturity, there are some things that are above the petty day to day. And if you ever loved someone or ever had a true connection with someone, it doesn't hurt to send a quick text of, I'm thinking of you. Sorry what you're going through. Done. It doesn't have to be a dissertation or a soliloquy of like, the longest text in the world. It could be 2 sentences just to like let someone know that they're being thought of and there's some sort of support. But if, according to Britt, she couldn't do that because she couldn't be fake with her fake nose. And okay, let me stop. So then at the end of the episode, Phaedra pulls the girls together and she tells them that Londi had passed, and that's why Portia wasn't there. And Phaedra just reminds them, like, hey, we have our BS, we have our ups and downs, but we are a sisterhood, and you just never know when it's your last time with someone. And that was it. Next episode is the season finale. My final thoughts is like, it seems like the season is just now heating up and now we're at the end of it. And so, I don't know. I just feel like it was very disjointed, weird season. I'm ready for it to be over. I wish that like the timeline had shifted in filming and that this was episode 8 and not 16, and we could have another 8 more episodes, because it seems like things are just now ramping up. But because it's right at the end of the season and it was so disjointed and so lackluster, it seems like people are now just throwing things at the wall to stick, aka paying randoms to like have cheating allegations on the channel, aka let's have an argument about a glam squad. And so I want to know your thoughts. Let me know down below. Whose side are you on? Are you on Britt's side? Are you on Kelly's side? Who do you think paid Marcus to say what he said about Angela? I know I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Please share with a friend. Please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Mwah. Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am going to review the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 finale episode. Y'all, we made it through this raggedy season, so can we just get a moment of praise? Hallelujah. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to just kind of go through these scenes. I'll give you my thoughts along the way. And then we're going to spend probably more time towards the end to dive into a few things. So go ahead, get a snack, and let's get to it. The episode opens. Portia and her sister Lauren go to visit Phaedra to discuss funeral arrangements for their cousin Londi that recently passed away. And Lauren said she was actually on the phone at the time of Londi passing with her, and I can't imagine that trauma. So I just hope that Lauren is getting the help that she needs, the support that she needs, and I can't imagine anything like that. So just sending more prayers. I know it's been, a year or so, but just sending good vibes, prayers to the family, and having to deal with such a terrible tragedy. Portia basically said in this scene that her heart is broken with all of the things that she had to deal with this year. Obviously, we know she was dealing with a divorce and then now her cousin passing. And so it's really kind of like a down year for her. Hopefully things are up, are moving up and on the mend. But, that's kind of just like the peaks and valleys of life. So again, sending love and support to the family. So then we see Angela visiting her therapist, and, I just appreciate Angela being open and transparent. She didn't come on the show saying, I have the perfect marriage, I have the perfect life. She really came on saying, yeah, we've been through some ish, we've moved through it, it's still a work in process, and kind of like, here's my mess. So I love the fact that she came on like that, because you can't spray her with her own tea, because she has willingly been seemingly authentic and really put her things out there, and that's to be commended. So she sits down with her therapist. You can tell it was her actual therapist. The therapist was able to recall things from past sessions. It wasn't like some of these housewives who start therapy, on episode 5 and then they're done by episode 10. No, this is somebody that you can tell they have had multiple sessions over a long period of time. And the therapist is very clued into Angela's issues, Charles's issues, and then their issues as a couple. So again, thank you, Angela, for showing your real life, showing us flaws and all. We all have them. We all have issues, and just being real about it. So thank you, Angela, because as a newbie, she is doing so much heavy lifting. So basically in the session, she talked about how the man Marcus confronted her at Kelly's event, trying to tell her something about her own husband. And she was telling the therapist how she wants to protect her family and she's going to face the mess head on because she really just is tired of people like messing with them and wants to face it head on. And again, that's to be commended. I think I wouldn't have minded either way. I wouldn't have minded her, if she were to be like, you can't tell me nothing about my man, bye, and paid him dust. Or if she wanted to face it head on and get to the bottom of it. And so I feel like either way, there was an option there. She chose option B. So go off, queen. So then we see Shamea preparing to perform her musical showcase. I'm confused why we're just now seeing this now and hearing about this. Actually, no, I feel like they didn't mention it, right? No, that was Drew's showcase. Yeah. Did we ever see Drew's showcase? I'm so confused. This season, this was going to be in part of my final takeaway of the season. WTF happened with this season, the editing. I feel like it was so disjointed. This is not the first time I'm saying this, but why is this? I don't think we saw Drew's showcase. And then why are we just now seeing Shamea's showcase? Why didn't we see her planning it? Why didn't we see her practicing rehearsals? Why didn't we see her talking to a designer about what the set's going to look like, her costume designer? Like, why? Like, this showcase just came out of nowhere. But I digress. It's just, again, the storytelling and the editing sucked. I'm sorry, it did. And it just, things just kind of like were mentioned and fell off. Things that popped out of nowhere that we were like, wait, what? Very odd. Please don't do this to this franchise. This franchise is so important to the housewife machine. And it's just, it's going out sad, in my opinion. Some people loved the season. If you did, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I welcome all thoughts, all views. But to me, I'm just like, it's Atlanta. I just want Atlanta to be great. Anyway, so Shamea has a showcase. She is performing. She did multiple songs, multiple costume changes, and there was a lot of production put into it. She definitely spent her money, used her resources and connections, and really put on a show. I think someone was like, this was not a showcase. This was like a tour. It was a concert. And she did great. Like, you got it. Again, flaunt it, use it, show it off. I am nobody's singing critique. I'm not a singer. But, I think overall, we know Shamea can sing. So it's like, if she had a bad night, had a shaky night, hey, I'm sure everyone has the off nights. Sucked that it was her big night, that it might have been a little off, but we know she overall has a really nice voice. Drew, who actually showed up on time. So good job, Drew. You actually, graced us with your presence. Before the event started. Drew was kind of like throwing some shade, and I was just like, I feel like Drew, every time she has to sing, it's always my throat, I'm my voice, I'm hoarse, I'm raspy. And it's like, again, I think Drew has a nice voice as well. And it's just like, just support someone. I don't know. I feel like just trying to be shady. You don't have to be shady in every confessional. You don't have to like perform in every professional. It's okay to be like, all right, yeah, she did her thing. I'm not fooling with her right now, but she did her thing. I'm not gonna rain on her parade. Like, it's okay to be normal, and not everything has to be, well, like, I don't know. So Shamia was kind of like, oh, she could have practiced more. She could have did a little more. And Britt was also throwing shade in the confessional, kind of like, you get an A for effort. And I'm like, isn't the expression A for effort? Like, can you, but when you're going to shade, can you do it correctly? Like, that would be nice. And so again, I'm like, Britt, what have you done? Like, Britt should not be talking. We saw what you launched. I will go to Shamia's performance all day before I go to a bare naked event wearing high heels on a golf course and not getting fed. So can we talk about the production you put on, Britt? Do you want us to go back to that prior episode? Oh, okay. Didn't think so. Again, congratulate her, shut it, keep it cute. It doesn't have to be in every freaking confessional. I pointed this out in my last recap that Shamia's husband doesn't show up for anything. So I will shout him out. Shout out to Gerald for showing up, supporting his wife. Shamia had her beautiful family with her, just cheering her on. And I'm here for that, because if that man FaceTimed her during her performance or right before or after, I would have lost my mind. So she had the performance. Britt pretty much ignores Kelly, but overall there wasn't any like fighting or anything during the performance. Everyone kept it cute, which was nice. So after Shamia's performance, Angela reminds the ladies that she has an upcoming gala to support Charles's charity foundation. And, the goal of the foundation is to feed kids in underserved communities, which is amazing. And everyone was very supportive. Everyone was just like, hey, what can we do? Like, we got you, sis. Like, what do you want? What do you need? Kelly was like, if you want us to post anything, we got you. And Drew was just like, oh, so how many followers do you have? And Kelly was like, oh, I don't know, like 150. And they're like, oh, 150,000. She's like, yeah, something like that, whatever. She wasn't even trying to flex. She was just kind of like, yeah, yeah, sure. And, Britt was like, yeah, she bought those followers though. Like, she grew 80K in a day. And Kelly's like, why are you even watching me? So I was just like, again, weak, lazy, weird read. Again, Britt, you're showing how weird and unhinged you are, because why are you watching the follower count of your cast? Shouldn't you be working on your defunct agency? Shouldn't you be working on Bare Naked? Shouldn't you be reading an etiquette book on how to like give donations? Why are you sitting here? It's worse than pocket watching. It's weirder than pocket watching. Why are you sitting online comparing, okay, she has this many on Monday, okay, Tuesday she has this many? It's weird. What? Then Kelly claps back like, okay, well, if you want us to donate anything, Angela, let Britt know so she can get her donations in order. And it's very clear, because some people don't know how to donate otherwise. I said, get her again. Get her again. So you want to come from me? Boop, bop, we can do it back to you. So after the donation discussion, we see Shamia. First of all, Shamia, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? Girl, I guess. I've been saying this to her all season, so why not just hit it home in the finale? You look a mess. Like, these crazy, like, the glasses could have been cute if everything else made sense, but with the hair and no. The jacket, the bedazzled booty shorts, girl, if you like it, I love it, I guess. So anyway, so we see Shamia confront Britt. We see a scene that was not previously aired of Cynthia telling Shamia before the show that Britt mentioned that Shamia was showing text messages between her and Portia to Cynthia and Britt. I said, Cynthia, you better work. Can we get Cynthia a raise? I know she likes being a friend, but she is doing, again, just like Angela, she's doing so much heavy lifting that these veteran housewives, full-time housewives, are not doing. Because why didn't Portia pull her friend aside? Yes, maybe the timing corresponded with Londi's passing, so I guess she'll get a break from, she can get a pass for that. But why? I don't know. I just feel like Portia was just in La La Land this season, and she pretty much robbed y'all Bravo because she got paid to do absolutely nothing. Phaedra got paid to do absolutely nothing besides scheme, but we'll talk about that later on. Like, you got these friend ofs, these newbies doing the actual work. So anyway, thank you, Cynthia, for bringing that little tidbit back because we wouldn't have had that conversation. So Cynthia shared with Shamia that, hey, by the way, Britt told us that you were showing text messages between you and Portia. So letting you know, bringing that bone to you. So Shamia, instead of talking to her friend, she goes to Britt and she's like, oh, why would you say that? Like, that didn't happen. And Britt's like, no, girl, it happened. Like, Britt's holding firm, which is why I think it actually did happen. And Shamia, you can tell she starts like using different tactics to divert from the fact that this was the truth. I do believe that she was up here running her mouth about Portia, showing messages. And so tactic one was like, oh, well, maybe you're just jealous that I'm getting close to Kelly. That flopped. And then she was like, oh, well, and then she's like, oh, well, I see why you can't take shots because you took a shot in Grenada and then you stripped. Thanks for wearing clothes today. Thanks for wearing clothes today. I was like, dear God, this woman is so corny. Money can't buy you style. Money can't buy you a personality. Money can't buy you reads. Like, dear God, you are corny. And it made no sense. It had no place in the argument. And like, Britt again was kind of like, yeah, I stripped. Yeah, I took off my top. Like, whatever. So then we see, so because she wants to throw those little jabs, then Britt was like, well, did you see your daughter when you got to Miami? We felt so bad for you when you were crying in Grenada. We were trying to support you. But then you get to Miami with Kelly and you're just popping shots. Basically insinuating like, hey, if your daughter was really so sick, why weren't you by her side, but you're like in Miami partying? So she was kind of coming at Shamia. She was not talking about her daughter. She did make some little inferences, kind of like, well, if she was really sick, like, was she really sick? So I can see how that can hit a nerve, because obviously I don't think Shamia's lying about her daughter being sick, but she was mostly criticizing Shamia's mothering, which nobody wants that. I don't want anyone coming at me of the way I parent my child. But when you're coming to me saying, oh, thanks for wearing clothes and lying to my face when I know you did something and you want to tell me to my face on camera the opposite, yeah, I might go a little low. I might throw a little jab and defend myself. But anyways, so she's like, yeah, you were popping shots in Miami with Kelly. And then Shamia says, oh, well, at least I wasn't popping pills, saying that Britt is a pill popper. So then Britt proceeds to call Britt a streetwalker. And then Britt claps back saying, well, everyone knows that you sleep around. And then a confessional, corny behind Shamia says, oh, girl, like those infidelity rumors been out there for a long time. What? Why are you telling on yourself? Because, again, was that supposed to be a clapback? Was that supposed to be witty or fun? Like, that was weird. Why are you telling on yourself? Because even if it's not true, why would you proudly say, oh, girl, everyone thinks I cheat on my man? What? Am I crazy? So basically, they don't get anywhere. They walk away from each other, and that was that, okay? So then that kind of wraps up the event, and then we see kind of a montage moving into some more scenes, right? So then we get a montage of Britt and her man looking at a private plane. We see Ralph calling Drew if he can emerge from the basement. We land on Kelly cooking breakfast with her girls, and she says she needs wine to stay sane. I said, yes, I concur. Her sister comes and visits her, and Kelly tells her sister that she is behind on the opening of her new restaurant. With her still being married, it is not a good idea for her to open any new businesses because then that's going to be counted as a marital asset. And so I think there are some other project management issues as well, but it's good that it's not opening while she's married. So she just needs to be careful with that. So then we see Ralph and Drew, and Ralph's at the piano, and um he sits down with Drew, and he's like, "So how did we get here? How did things get so bad?" Child, I guess I was just like, this man is sick. He needs to be locked up somewhere with padded walls. He don't need to be in a basement. He basically is like, "Oh, well, woe is me. The judge, I can't see my kids during the week. I want to take them to school, blah blah blah." And Drew has consistently taken the high road this entire season, and was like, "You can always ask me. You can always work something out. They're your kids. I want them. I want you to be a father to them." So that was that. But it's like, I don't even want to put too much into that scene, because we've seen since how Ralph is always talking about her and her family online, and it's just like, he's constantly doing the most. He's always trying to air her out. It's just like, go away, go be a father, go co-parent, and stop trying to get clout, and stop trying to bury Drew. Just stop. So, like, I don't even care this, how did we get here, when months later you're trying to air her out, trying to expose her. Okay. So then Phaedra goes on a date with her man. He's cute. He's handsome. And it was a cute place. She says she's not interested in marriage again. And I wouldn't either, child. Like, when I see some of these divorces on like TV, I don't know how some of these people get married 2, 3, 4 times. Like, no, I don't blame you, Phaedra. Just save your sanity, go on your cute dates with your boyfriend, and leave it at that, and keep your sanity, girl. So I ain't mad about that. Then we get to a scene with Britt, and y'all know what I do with Britt and her solo scenes. So I fast forwarded through 99% of it. I did catch at the end that she announces to her family, yes, we're going to move forward with our ceremony, and then afterwards we're going to work on having a baby. And that reminded me of, that's how she introduced the season of, we want to get ready to have a ceremony. And I'm like, again, we went through what, 6 months, 4 months of filming, and we heard about this ceremony episode 1 or 2, because I was still watching her scenes then. So we heard about this ceremony episode 1 or 2, and here we are in episode 17, and it's still like, it sounds like you're still in the same place. Why didn't we get you planning a ceremony? Who are these producers? I'm so confused. Why weren't you planning, instead of planning bare naked, you should have been, okay, your storyline should have been planning your ceremony, getting your families together. Episode 17 or episode, I don't know, 12, or your bare naked episode should have been your ceremony. It should have been, we should have been seeing you talk to catering, talk to the floral arrangements, get a nice dress, figure out what the after party is going to look like. Are you guys going to take a trip after the ceremony? Do y'all know where I'm getting at with this? Like, my consistent Housewife viewers, when they tee up the storyline in the beginning, we kind of want to see it completed by the end of the season. So I have no idea what Joe Schmo they pulled off the street to be the showrunner, the person on set making sure these storylines are moving, these individual producers who are assigned to these housewives to make sure they actually do their job. But pick it up next time. Please pick it up. Again, this franchise and this here we go. So then we move on to Angela's event, and the ladies arrive. Most of them are looking great. Shamia looks, y'all know. Angela talks about how she and Drew met with Marcus. So again, this is like another scene that we did not see in its entirety. It's just a callback to something that we did not previously see. And they sit down with Marcus and they're like, okay, so tell me in your own words, what happened? What do you know? How do you know it? What's up? And Marcus is there with some other guy who I don't know if were introduced to or not. Let me know in the comments if they mentioned it. I forget. But anyway, so Marcus is there with another guy. I think it's a guy that works for him or with him or something. Anyways, so Marcus says, oh yeah, I saw Charles in June and he came to my restaurant. And so he's just kind of like saying that I saw him with another woman. I saw him cheating on you. And Angela immediately clocked that as a lie. She was like, he was out of town. He was working on the big three. He was on national TV every day. So get the out my face. So she clocked that immediately. And because of that, she was like, okay, so that means somebody put you up to this. Like, why are you just pulling this stuff out of nowhere? So her and Drew just kind of coordinated to really expose this, the root of the issue at the gala. And that's the one kind of like minus point I'll give Angela is that, like, why would you do this at a gala? I understand because why would you do it at such a nice event? It's kind of like not on the same level, but it's kind of like Kenya airing out Brit at her spa opening. Like, leave your very nice event as a very nice event. But in Angela's defense, production was like, girl, this is your last episode. So like, let's wrap this up. And so, I'm sure just time wasn't on her side and she had to do this then. But and it's in a place that she can kind of control because it is her event. So I get it, but it's like it was such a beautiful event and such a great reason that I just hate that it's tainted. I hate that these wonderful things that should be celebrated are tainted with these terrible things. So in that like weird scene, the unaired footage that we're now seeing, she was like, okay, so like, tell me who put you up to this because I know you're not telling the truth. And then so one of the guys puts it on the phone and shows Angela, and it's like, dun dun dun, but the audience doesn't see that. It was just a weird scene, this whole season's weird. So then we get back to the actual event in real time, and Portia shows up. She looks amazing. Britt tells Portia, hey, girl, FYI, Shamia knows what I told you guys about her sharing text messages. And Portia is kind of like, girl, I don't have time for this. Like, Portia, again, didn't give it too much. I would have liked to see them have a quick face-to-face. Obviously, it's not the best time for Portia, but had someone on that set been doing their job, it would have been nice to see like a face-to-face with Shamia over that. But I guess we'll get that in the reunion. They kick off the gala. Charles and Angela have some, just honored guests there, people that are just really helping out in the community, really helping to help others address, the different gaps in resources and how they are constantly showing up for others. And so I think that was really special. Something else that they did was that they actually honored Portia and her late cousin for their work that they do through the Hosea Williams Foundation. And again, all of the work that foundation does. And we learn, not learn because I'm sure it was mentioned before, but they just highlight, how much Londi worked for the foundation and really helped further their cause and really just put her blood, sweat, and tears into the foundation and the legacy of it. And so that was really sweet. So then afterwards, Portia breaks down and the women, she goes to the bathroom. The women go to comfort her and then just give her that strength and the support. And another weird thing. So while she's crying, we cut to Shamia in a confessional, and it's not about, man, I really love Portia, we're just going to rally around her. It was more like, I don't know where the future of our friendship's going to go. And like, it was weird. It was a weird overlay to the scene of Portia crying about her cousin that passed, and then Shamia in the confessional, like, the love has always been there. I reached out, I sent flowers, I did this, I did that. I'm going to leave it in God's hands. And again, just still avoiding responsibility, avoiding accountability. I can't fault Shamia for what she said in the confessional because it's an interview. So obviously someone asked her and prompted her to say these things. But again, it's the editors. Why did they take that and interject it in this scene? It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, so then Angela sits everyone down and she brings up Marcus and she kind of does this like cool, almost like a whodunit, like, I just want to bring up what happened. At first I thought it was you, Kelly, because it was your event and it was just too easy for you to orchestrate. And you took a shot with him. But then it could have been Britt. And we had problems and you had brought up my marriage before. And so I thought, I was like, oh shoot, I was excited in this moment because I'm like, oh, she about to drop a bomb. Like she's kind of going one by one and she knows it's not them. She's going to land on the person who did do it, right? So, she's going through like the suspects very eloquently. And then, Drew brings Marcus over to sit down and talk to the women. And before they even get into it, before they even get into it, Charles throws him out. And Charles is like, hell no, get out. We're not doing this here. Get this guy out. He said some other choice words, but Charles was not having it. Charles was not clued in on the game of Clue that we were playing. And bro, like Angela was like, no, trust me. You gotta trust me. Let me do this. So they're going back and forth. And I'm like, Charles, I appreciate you. Like Charles was being real in that moment. He's like, bro, you disrespected my wife. You disrespected my marriage. This is my event. This is a classy event. I'm not having any of your mess here. Charles was Charles was being authentic and what a normal person would do in real life. But I'm like, Charles, this is the finale of the Housewives. Like, you gotta sit down. I want to hear this. like Charles, like Angela was trying to tell him, like, bro, trust me, I got this. So she eventually got her way and got Marcus to come sit down. So then, so Marcus sits down with the ladies, and then he basically says that Phaedra put him up to him bringing rumors to the forefront at Kelly's event about Angela's marriage. And Phaedra has the same confused, who said that look, and she's like, no, what are you talking about? So of course Phaedra denies it, and Marcus says that him and Phaedra have a common connection named Junebug, and I guess that's how he got the information. Like Phaedra didn't come to him directly. I guess it came through Junebug. I don't know. It was not clear. So basically, Marcus leaves without any receipts. Like it was such a flop, in my opinion, because it's like, why are we taking the word from this stranger? I'm just like, bro, you're going to have to come harder than that. If you're going to accuse anyone of anything, you got to come harder than that, because you can't just pop up out of nowhere. You can't pop up out of nowhere and then drop a bomb and then think you're going to just be able to walk away. Then, so after he leaves, Angela just confronts Phaedra and she's just like, why would you do this? I didn't do anything to you. And Phaedra is still denying it. Phaedra's like, how would I know this? Why would I do this? And Angela says something like, you're the godfather of Atlanta. And so they're just going back and forth. And then this is a reason why I do think she's guilty, because if I was accused of something I had had nothing to do with, I would literally just say, like, I did nothing wrong. Like, I can prove it. I can give you my alibi. Like, if you have Junebug's number, let's call this person. I don't know. I would just try to prove my innocence as much as I can. But Phaedra, like a guilty person, similar to what Shamia was doing with Britt earlier, she pivots to something that makes no sense, and she's like, "Oh well, you're doing all this research, but did you tell everyone that you're in foreclosure?" What? And Angela was like, "Actually, yeah, like it's already out there." So it's like you're kind of proving her point, because if you're not the godfather of Atlanta and if you don't have all these connections, why do you know that some of her investment homes went into foreclosure? I, she and Charles look like they're living a great life right now. So what? A project didn't work out. Do all of your projects work out perfectly? All your jobs? When was the last time you won a case, Phaedra? I'll wait. So it's like, you're almost proving her point that, like, yeah, you have been looking into me. You have a hard on for me for no reason, right? So then Angela says, you know, Phaedra's gone from one failed friend group to another. I said, bloop, get her. Shamia and Kelly still think it's Britt behind it. It could have been Britt and Phaedra. I mean, they were roommates. Maybe that's the tea. Britt and Phaedra could have been in Grenada. What can we do to get back at Angela? Because they both can't mind any business of their own. So maybe it was both of them. So then we have this like overlay of conversation, and we have Angela versus Phaedra and Shamia versus Britt. So they're both sets of people are just arguing at the same time. It was very like difficult to hear, and it's like, can you all shut up? Like, I want to hear this argument, and then I want to hear this separate argument. It was annoying trying to like decipher what they were saying, but both groups are just going back and forth. Shamia brings up how her and Britt had a conversation about the text messages, and she's like, yeah, I had to walk away before I beat her ass. And I'm just like, really? And Britt was like, oh, is that a threat? Are we threatening now? And Shamia was like, no, that's what you do. You threaten people with guns, you whore. My thing is like, I think it's so corny, people that claim to be such good friends, and then when they fall out, all of a sudden now they're a horror and a streetwalker and a this and a that. And it's like, if you really felt that way about that person, why were you friends with them in the beginning? Don't smile up in my face and then we fall out, and all of a sudden it's, well, you do this and you did that and da da da. Do not, like, that is so whack to me. Because why were you friends with a horror? It makes you look worse. If she was just this terrible person, you sure were grinning and skinning with her episode, like the first half of the season. So why, now she's a whore, she's a streetwalker, and she's all these terrible things. Like, keep your issue with her, the issue with her, but don't start the name calling and trying to spray her with her past tea, because all that stuff was fine a few weeks ago. She's just so whack. Shamia, dear God, get Shamia off my screen. So Britt walks away, and that was pretty much the end of the season. So then we start getting like the final cards that tell us, where the women are now, and like kind of adding the conclusion of the season. So basically, I'm going to run through these on my phone here. Basically, Kelly divorced in September. She's opening her new location spring, summer of 2025. So hopefully it's open now. Britt is opening a new agency. And I'm like, girl, I thought you lost your license. Didn't you lose your license because of this whole Kenya fiasco? Oh, you got it reinstated when you realized that the picture wasn't you. Girl, I guess. I don't have time for this. So she's getting she's opening up a new agency. She's opening up a new agency, and she's working on Bare Naked. Drew released an album. Ralph is still in the basement. Shamia's daughter is making progress, and Shamia has found a new surrogate. Shamia released her new single in this past March. Phaedra is booked and busy. She's still dating her man. Angela sold 3 of her homes and lost 2. And she's working on her fan business. And I said, yes, Angela. So then we see 5 months later, and Portia is working out in full glam. She's able to actually film in her home now. So that's the exciting part in all this. So she's at home, she's working out full glam. Her mom comes over, she shares that she has a date for court. We see in the card that Simon was detained by ICE in February. We know now that he's deported back to Nigeria. Child, my final thoughts is put this mess on pause. Put this mess on pause. I saw a headline that Bravo's considering doing that with Brit's $20 million lawsuit, all the fallout from the Kenya stuff. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if that was accurate, but put this mess on pause and get it back to the glory that we once knew. And no, that doesn't mean bring Nene back and bring Sheree. Bring Sheree back. It doesn't mean to bring back 90% of our beloved OGs. No. Yeah, so not only does the network and production need to work on casting properly, but you need to make sure you have the appropriate people behind the scenes who actually know what they're doing and who actually can produce a season and produce a person. Because this season was a mess. And it wasn't just the taking out Kenya and trying to remove her, and maybe that then removed some other scenes. It wasn't just that, because Kenya left, episode 5? And so here we are, episode 17, and I'm still like, this season doesn't make sense. A couple of episodes, I can see that might have felt a little off, or might have felt them kind of getting things back on track. But like I said, things started heating up like an episode ago. And I'm like, dang, I wish we had more runway of this season. And that's hindsight. Obviously, the production schedule is set ahead of time, all of that. So I understand that. But this was a mess. It was a mess on all fronts. It was a mess on casting. It was a mess on producing. It was a mess on editing. It was a mess. That's all I have to say. When I kind of run down the cast, Shamia, you went out sad, girl. I was so excited for you. Episode 1, episode 2, and I'm like, man, we have real wealth. We have someone showing her life and her talking about her struggles. I was rooting for you, girl. And I just never seen someone consistently click down to the point where I don't even want you as a friend anymore. I want you off my screen, baby girl. You're low down. You're not a good friend. Portia's not either, but we're not going to act like, we're not going to completely villainize Portia. And those of you who have watched my other videos know, like, I'm not a Portia stan whatsoever. But Shamia, you're no angel. Both you and Portia can actually go, in my opinion. But anyway, Angela, you are the MVP. Thank you for your services. Thank you for your work. I hope that you have a great housewife and reality career ahead of you. I hope everything you were sharing with us was legit. I pray that you can land the plane at the reunion. I think you will be able to do it. I feel like Cynthia said that you did well at the reunion, if I'm not mistaken. Cynthia mentioned on her podcast with Crystal a little bit about the reunion. She said Portia ran that thing from A to Z. I said, okay, Portia, waking up to get that peach, showing us, why they initially had you kind of like be the face of the show this season. So I'm interested in seeing that. But other than that, Portia, y'all know how I feel. Dud, flop, didn't give us anything. Cynthia should have had a peach, but give her at least a monetary raise in her friend role, because she was working. Y'all had this girl working this season. Drew was kind of just there, even though she was everyone's storyline. It's weird. Like, yeah, Drew didn't do a lot, but did a lot because her name was in everyone's mouth. Phaedra, I don't know why you're here. I don't want you here. You were a disappointment. I don't like the best part of you was the scene with your kids. And I'm going to leave it there. Kelly, I think when Kelly gets a mind of her own, she's going to be great. Right now, she's all right. I'll still keep her around. I'll give her another chance. But she's a little flip floppy and she's a little followery for my liking. I want her to stand in her bossness and like take command. Um, and Britt, you can get away from me with this. Like, we already know you're not coming back. So we don't need to spend too much time on her. So, anyways, I have complained enough about this season. You know my thoughts. I want to hear yours. Hit me up below. Let me know. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Did you actually like this season? It's okay if you did. I am here for just to see other points of views. And, if you're still rocking with my content, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, check out some of my other videos. I really appreciate you being on this journey with me. It was a ride, y'all. My God. But here we are. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.